Hey everybody, welcome to Technically Unraveled. Thanks for joining us this week. So today we are going to talk about all things events here at Pax8, but I want to make sure that I invite you to like, share, and subscribe because we have something really cool coming next week. We'll talk a little bit about that later, but let's jump into some updates. So first and foremost, we are talking about our Microsoft monthly webinar. We just did this past week. It's always available on demand afterwards, though. So if you weren't able to jump on and you couldn't actually type in your questions, get those answered on the spot, you can actually go back and watch the recording. So if you go to youtube.com/Pax8cloud, you can go check that out whenever you like. Historically, they're all there for you. So if you ever missed anything, you can always check back. And if you have any questions, you reach out to your account team. They're ready to support. All right. Microsoft Inspire. This is like Christmas happening in July. We're really excited for this next week. So myself and a few others, we're going to be flying into our Denver headquarters. We're going to be recapping absolutely everything that comes out of Microsoft Inspire for you as partners. So next week, I won't be here on Thursday, but I'm going to be there Tuesday and Wednesday at 4 p.m. So really excited. There's going to be a day one blog, a day two blog, but we're going to have live guests. We're going to just make sure that you don't have to sit through the entire Inspire because my goodness, there's a lot of content that comes out of it. So let us pull out what's relevant for you as our partners at Pax8, and we'll try to make it as seamless as possible. All right, let's move on. So this one's important. I've got a lot of notes from Ms. Ashley Moretti on it because Microsoft is going to be removing DAP. So you might have seen, we've talked a lot about GDAP and how DAP is transitioning over, right? So with the removal of DAP, that's going to be starting July 2023. So we are here. It's going to be happening here soon. So the reseller relationship will remain intact. That's the thing that I wanted to make sure we called out to you. Please make sure that that is good. It shouldn't be a big process on your part, but allowing Pax8 to provision the licenses to the end customer tenant. So that way we're all secure. If you have any questions on this, please reach out to your account team. I know the transition from DAP to GDAP was successful. If you guys need anything, just let us know. All right, FX pricing, September 1st, there's going to be some changes. We've got Australia, Canada, New Zealand, Switzerland. We've got a partner center link down below for you. If you have any specific questions, please refer to that. They're just wanting to make sure that everything is consistent throughout these different regions, but please let us know if you have any questions. All right, January 1st, 2024, this just came out. We want to make sure that we're always on the same page with you. Actually, I skipped ahead. I got really excited. If you can hit the next one, I'm going to talk about end-of-life legacy first, and then I'll come back to Microsoft Cloud Partner Program because end-of-life legacy is super important. So January 1st, 2024, end-of-life is coming for all legacy SKUs. Okay, so this is super, super important. TSI, education, government SKUs, they're all moving over to NCE. So everything's going to start to transition. This is brand new news as of this week. There's definitely a link down below. It goes down to our partner center. But us as Pax8, we're going to work to make sure that you have a comprehensive lens to make sure that you know what this means for you as partners, your end customers. We'll make sure this is as seamless as possible. Stay tuned. A lot more will come on that. Now, come back up because I got too excited. Microsoft Cloud Partner Program, guys. Okay, October 1st. In order to receive incentives and rebates through MCI, you have to have at least one designation. Okay, if you don't have that designation, you're not going to be receiving anything through MCI. Microsoft Commercial Incentives. I'm going to get all these acronyms. Don't come at me, Matt Lee. I'm going to tell everybody what the acronyms mean, okay? So partners can renew their silver and gold competencies, but you're not going to receive incentives and rebates through those. It's a little complicated. We know that changing big programs like this can be tough. Make sure that you tune in to our Microsoft Cloud monthly webinars. connect with your account team. We want to make sure that everything is crystal clear for you and you don't lose out on anything from Microsoft. All right. Now that I've skipped around in our updates, I am excited to bring on our next guest. But first, he has worked here for some time. He does all of our events. I know that he's been preparing very hard. We got a screenshot of him as he was preparing, actually. So he had to come to make sure he got unraveled. Henry, thanks for joining us today.
Wow, I didn't know that was going to happen. But, I am raveled and I'm here to get technically unraveled. So thank you so much for having me. Very excited to be joining for the first time on this program. So thank you again.
You're never going to send me any photos like that again, are you?
I should have known. But, everything is public here, I guess, at Pax8.
See, it makes a fun intro. So Henry, tell us a little bit about what you do at Pax8, how long have you been here, and then what did you do prior to Pax8?
Yeah, so currently I am the corporate manager of channel strategy, which basically in a long-winded sentence means I run an awesome team in the Americas that puts on all of our different education and enablement events for our partners and for people that are interested in Pax8. So we'll be talking about those a little bit later, but in 1 month, I'll be here 2 years, which I believe is 20 years Pax8 time. So I'm pretty much one of the oldest people here now, which is unfortunate, but it's been a lot of fun. I joined right at the end of COVID, kind of right as the virtual things were phasing out, and I was a part of the phase in of back to in-person events, and it was really fun to be a part of that, to see everybody come back into saying hi to each other, shaking hands, giving hugs. So that was really cool. And before that, I worked as an event manager, a global event manager at a very tiny nonprofit based in Seattle. And I basically ran big, large conferences for the Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation, which is APEC for you, Matt Lee, APEC. It's really, I got my master's degree in event management. I really just love being out and talking with people. The virtual thing was a little bit tough, and I know we're still doing some virtual events we'll talk about, but we definitely have that in-person aspect. But really, I just, love hanging out with people, and that's what I chose my career in, I guess.
And that's what Pax8 pays you to do. I love it. So, we have so many cool events. We're going to get into those. But before, I always like to start with a fun fact, get to know you a little bit better. So give us a fun fact.
Yeah, here we go. So for everybody out there, I have recently started making candles. And so I find it to be very fun, relaxing. And I'm also just tired of paying like $35 for a candle from some random store that I can make smell good at home. So I know you see my LinkedIn at the bottom. Send me your favorite scent and I'll see what I can do for you. But
all right, well, I'm gonna come up with a fun scent. I need a fun scent. All right, I'll work on that one. But you know who else is candle obsessed at Pax8? Is Ryan Burton. So we're gonna have to have a whole candle conversation coming up.
Good to know.
Good to know. All right, so Henry, there's a lot of events. There's internal to Pax8, which is what I really want to focus on, because obviously we do a ton outside of Pax8 Exchange, all of those. Actually, I think a bunch of our teams are actually out at Frisco. They might be wrapped up by now, but I want to focus on our internal events, Henry, and what type of events we do. So can you just kind of start us from the top? Where do we dive in?
Yeah, to start, let's just stick with, the numbers, and this is not including the industry events that we have an entire team dedicated to going to a year. I think we do somewhere in the realm of 50 events a year just for our partners. And that can range, we can do random one-off webinars. So we're quite busy. We have, if we're starting at the bottom, bottom's probably the wrong word, but we're starting at the what's Pax8? How do I get involved? What are these clowns doing at this industry show? Why should I go work? Yeah, why should I work with them over somebody else? We have these things called launch briefings. So it's dedicated for the people who have never heard of Pax8, or they just signed with Pax8. They want to learn a little bit more of how we operate, how do we work. So this is hosted monthly. It's virtual on Zoom, and we have a dedicated team that runs that, and it's all about how do I get involved with Pax8? What do I need to know to get started? We'll do a walkthrough of our platform. We'll do a PSA integration demo, and then we'll bring on a partner of ours that we've been working with for a while that'll basically answer any questions that somebody may have about a Pax8 partnership, whether it's how easy is it to get onboarded? What's my account team like? Is it worth it? You can ask these guys any questions, and the reason we bring them on is because they are truthful, they're candid, they're going to be honest with you, and they tell them your experiences. So that's where I would start. If you're just going, what's this little Pax8 cloud thing that's always in my face at these industry events, come on to a launch briefing. They're completely free and they're hosted monthly. And we have them globally. So we do dedicated ones in the Americas. We have them dedicated in both UK and EMEA. And now have just rolled them out. We did our first one just last week in the APAC region. So we have them globally. So wherever you guys are based, register for it, check it out. It's an hour and a half. It's free. And if you fill out the survey at the end, you get Uber Eats. You get a free lunch on us. So it's pretty awesome.
I like that we, instead of just saying like, hey, sign up as a partner, then figure out what's to come, like there's at least the entry, you know what I mean? Like get a little bit of the flavor. We'll see if you like it, see if it's a good fit, and then you can make sure that you're a partner here. And I think that, one, integration in our platform, it's huge. I think that being able to show that benefit up front, I love it. So, all right, launch briefing. Anything else on that one before we move on?
No, I mean, I think it's really just the greatest start. And what's cool about those two is, often I'll join them on the back end just to, see who's joining and things like that. And I'll see partners we've had onboarded for 3, 5, 6 years or whatever, still joining these, but they're bringing on their new employees just to go, hey, this is the easiest way and the quickest way for me to explain Pax8 to you, and I don't have to do it myself. So go join this quick webinar, learn more about it, and then let's move forward. So it's pretty awesome. And even like when we bring on new employees too, I love, like, we'll bring new team members on. They're like, well, what do we do here? I go, come join one of our events. It's actually pretty easy because we're trying to sell to people that we want to come work with us and partner with us. If you don't know what Pax8 is, you just onboarded, jump in. It's easy. It's free. Let's do it. So, nice. But really, that's probably it on launch briefings. If we want to jump into the next one, I would have to say, mission briefing is gonna have to be the next step in your event journey. So you went to a launch briefing, you go, you know what, this is for me. I onboarded, I got my account team now. What's next? I got to start understanding what I'm doing here. How can I make it easier on myself? How can I find out what resources are available to me? These mission briefings that we do globally now as well. So we have them in EMEA, UK, and Americas as well. We'll do them both virtually and in person. So if you can't make it to an in-person near you, it's very easy to jump on to a virtual, and we host them monthly as well. And these are I think it's a 6-hour long event where we'll have breaks and lunches. So don't worry about that. It's not too bad. But it goes over the entire...
to their computers. Like they can actually get up and, make sure they eat. Right. That's very nice. I appreciate you, Henry.
And that's one of those things, we're always sitting at our desks all day anyways. At least we can force you to have a break for 15 minutes or so. And we'll play some sweet music during those breaks. Mission briefing to the start is really, it's hosted by, we'll have a host on our team. She'll run it. And then we have a co-host who's a solutions engineer from Pax8. And basically we'll go through the entire stack that, we'll go A to Z. What do you need to do to be successful here at Pax8? And how do we make it easy? It's really that, how do I upsell and cross-sell my business to be more efficient, to grow it, and then to reduce risk? So we'll have, I believe, 2, depending on if it's virtual or in person, 2 to 5 vendors join as well that complement the talks that we'll have. And then we'll have dedicated Pax8 reps that'll talk about each of our stack categories. So we'll have, productivity, continuity, security, infrastructure, operations, and then we'll obviously have a dedicated Microsoft session as well, and a dedicated AWS session. And what's great about those is that it's not just them speaking to you for 20 minutes, they say goodbye, and then they're gone. They do their session, both in person and virtual. They'll say their session, they'll present it, and then they're on the back end to either answer the questions live, or if you guys put the questions in the chat, they'll be there too. And then we'll also put all of our information in there as well to get that answered as well, because Lord knows if we have a mission briefing, sometimes we'll have 300-400 people live, and 20 minutes is tough to answer, 50 questions coming in from that amount of people. But it's really, it's there for the partners to say, I'm having trouble with this. If I need this solution, what do I do with this? So we're here to, I don't know, I don't want to get in trouble for saying this. It's not necessarily about the event. It's about being able to ask the questions that you guys are in trouble with, and then us being able to either, if we can't answer them live, we can give you the contact information of somebody that's in the company that can answer that for you in super quickly.
It's a connection point. Like, that's perfect. That's what people are looking for.
100%. So, yeah. And then of course, during the mission briefings as well, we do a partner panel as well. So we'll bring on 2 to 3 partners as well, similar to the launch briefing, but it'll focus more on those stack solutions and how they became successful, how they went from, point B to point F or whatever. Basically, how did they grow from the smaller stage to the bigger stage? And it's not to say that we always put on MSPs that are a gazillion employees and are making gazillion dollars a month. It's, hey, I'm currently struggling with this. Did you guys have this problem when you were in this phase? How do I fix that? And then we have that over our lunch as well. So that's also incredible. And especially the in-person ones where we can so much. That's why we need a whole team to run all these events, because I don't even know half the things they talk about.
And I mean, that's the cool thing, is that, like, I like that we say, hey, you know what, even before you're a partner, let's make sure we're a good fit for you. Okay, now you're a partner, let's make sure that you are growing, right? So you start here, you want to get here. Let's get a couple MSPs, the different sizes. That way you can ask them different questions live, not in person, maybe in person. I know we'll talk about one in-person event. So, all right, we talked about launch briefings, mission briefings. There's a little bit of Microsoft in a mission briefing. I know there's a lot of Microsoft in some boot camps.
Oh yeah. Boot camps are the next step, the next evolution. So that was kind of my role starting here at Pax8. Was I came in, jumped in straight into the boot camps, and they're no offense to you, Kristen, they're a monster. They're a big, especially virtually, they're tough. They're 2 days of 4.5 hours of virtual content. But these are dedicated events. We host them in Azure. We have Modern Workplace, and we have Dynamics and Power Platform that we currently do here in the Americas. In EMEA, they're doing Biz Apps, Modern Workplace, and Azure as well, and then hopefully rolling these out soon to APAC. But these are the most technical event that we can offer virtually. Basically, it's the business owner says, I've heard about this Azure thing. I don't know what it is, but we need to figure out how to do it. And you have a technician on your team that wants to go learn how to go basically learn what Azure is, learn from the experts, ask the questions they need to ask, and then get set up for success. This is what you attend. So these things are, like I said, 2 full days of just technical content. We do live demos. We'll do follow along. So we'll give you a tenant to follow along in a demo tenant, so you can follow the likes of Dom Kirby and Matt Lee and Caleb Lackey, these guys doing all the different things that I personally don't understand. It sounds like a different language, but it's so successful. I can't remember the last time we've ran a virtual, Azure Bootcamp or Modern Bootcamp with less than 900 people registered and 400 to 500 people attending. It's massively popular, and people always give us rave reviews. And of course, we'll have a couple complimentary vendors that'll attend. Like quite often for Azure, we'll have Nerdio, and they're always incredible. So it's just a good time. And then I know we used to do most of these in person as well. We have kind of transitioned those back to virtual, but we do have, our lovely, I'm sure some of the people here have been to it or heard of it, the security boot camp. So
the evolution of the security throwdown. Now it's got an official name, everybody.
Yeah, the security throwdown was a ragtag event that we threw together for a single day, and basically just let Dom and Matt go have fun for 9 hours on a stage. And yeah, it was incredible. And then we realized, holy smokes, this is something that everybody wants. So we started rolling those out, and it's basically, as security is top of mind for absolutely everyone here, as we saw it. Basically any event. I know we just had a bunch of people at Exchange Security. It's top of mind. It's what everybody's asking for. It's what all the vendors are wanting to sponsor. So we put this together. We've hosted 2 now, and both times we have had a massive wait list for people registering and attending. So these are just incredible. We bring in all of our biggest and brightest security minds here. We bring in the academy team. We bring in obviously Matt and Dom, and put together a suite in person. We do these only in person just because we know how big they can get. We want to make sure that you bring that security community together, because that's where a lot of the growth and the knowledge passing along and learning comes from, is the community aspect of those in-person events. So those security boot camps are really awesome, and I love those. And I can't wait for the next one.
I love anything in person, Henry. And being here with Britton, she brings up a really good point. She says, such an important connection point that partners attend them more than once. Like, I think that is huge, because we continue to change the content. We continue to make sure that it's always up to date. And there's always something new that's happening. I mean, think about Copilot and how that could be changing what partners are doing today. Like, we are going to continue to make sure that you have the most updated content, especially in these boot camps, because Microsoft's always changing. So our content needs to change with them. And so when you're attending the boot camp, it's always what is coming up next and what can you be prepared for as partners. So Henry, I love the boot camps. Obviously, I was like I really wanted you to get to the boot camp part because I just love it. I know the other ones are absolutely phenomenal, but something
This is what I know
I
the
want you
most
to
about
talk
too.
I know. So, but Henry, here's the thing, is that like, it's not just CEOs or CROs or C-suite that should be attending the boot camps, right?
No, it's, in no offense to those CEOs and CROs, I don't want to say this, we don't really want you there. We want to make sure those techs that don't get a chance to get out there, and we want them to be at these boot camps. Like, it's
hands-on keyboard people, like
right.
the people that are actually going to be
The
like
ones that
deploying Azure, things like that. That's super important.
that's what we really target for, and I know we'll dive into this new thing we'll talk about later, this new event. We'll talk about it later, and I'll describe how that kind of solves that problem. But yeah, like, boot camps are technically focused. Really, the mission briefings are what, if you're a business owner or more sales and marketing, you're really trying to just understand the bigger picture of what's out there and what do we need to do, what are we missing. Let's go to a mission briefing. Let's find that. If you're an owner and you're not a technical person, you come to a boot camp, you're going to sit there not knowing what's going on for 2 days, especially in person. I mean, you might have a good time at the lunches and the happy hours and meeting the other partners and stuff like that. But if you're not haven't done it or not the technical person, a lot of it's going to go over your head. And we try to let people know that this is a technical event. Like, this is not, we're not coming here to sell to you. We're not coming here to make you buy something. We're just trying to educate and enable you to better understand what you need in your business at your stage. And a really cool thing about it, I don't think I've even mentioned it, is all of these events that I've been talking about, completely free, virtual and in person. If they're in person and you're not living in that city that we're hosting it in, we'll provide a discounted hotel rooming link, but you can pay your flight and your hotel to get there. We cover all costs while you're on site, food and everything at the event. Virtually,
happy hour.
We actually almost pay you to do it. We give you Uber Eats, so you stick with us through the long virtual events. We'll give you that so you can order the food to the home, eat it while you're still watching us and learning from us and everything like that. We want to make sure that that's top of mind. And I think that also goes to show, and with the big C-level acquisition and academy too, as we start, they've been here I think 2 years about now, as well as we're starting to use academy and roll them into our events a lot more. It's all about education and enablement, and it's nobody really wants to go sit in a room and be sold to for 8 hours a day anymore.
Not my jam. Not my jam. Henry, I pulled many fire alarms here at Pax8 when I was like, there's something new at Microsoft. It's super important. NCE, MCPP, whatever, other acronym you want me to throw out here, that I'm like, hey, I need a webinar now, right? We all got really excited about that. And we finally said, okay, there's a lot of things happening in Microsoft. Let's make something consistent. So let's talk a little bit about the Microsoft monthly webinar.
Yeah, this is one of the best decisions I think we've made as a collective in terms of the Microsoft and event team relationship, because we'd always be running these boot camps and mission briefings, we'd be running these all these different events, and we go, where can we fit in 4.5 seconds or
Yep.
10 seconds to just yell something out about NCE or this other thing that's changing. We're like, well, this event is focused on Azure. Why are we talking about this pricing thing that doesn't have anything to do with it? I know it happened yesterday or
Mhm.
whatever. And,
Like it's
we go,
important,
oh,
but not relevant.
we'll do a webinar for it. And we go, well, we just asked all these people to join here. So yeah, this lovely thing that we have built together with the Microsoft team is the Microsoft monthly updates. So we started these, I want to say it was April or March was our first one that we ran. We did a spin off to see if it would work in February, and then we did March, and it went just phenomenal. So this is something that we say, get all your updates and crazy stuff out of our other events, and let's just do it all in one go. And we do these virtually every single month. We try to do them on the first Monday of every month, but as you know, in America is July 4th. We had to push it, and things will happen, but this is a global update. So the first part of these hour and a half long webinars are focused on what's happening in the Microsoft world, what's changing, what do I need to know right now, um, you know, changes in prices, all of that. And then if it's something that's happening, say this is an EMEA specific change, we'll do those at the end. And what's great about these is we record them all. As soon as we're done recording them, flip it, throw it on YouTube, and you can see it right next in the playlist of this thing that you're watching right now on the YouTube at Pax8. And I think it's been one of the most incredible things in terms of just how we can get out the information to partners as fast as possible, as accurately as possible. It's not like something we have to do 4 different webinars for 4 different countries, and maybe it's only a 20-minute update. It's always accessible. We run them at 9 a.m. Mountain Time here in the United States. That's 4 a.m. time in Singapore or Brisbane, Australia. So
Not
we
ideal,
send them
but it's
all.
on demand.
Yeah, some people are that dedicated, I guess. But we send them all an email post event saying, this is what we covered this month. This is what you need to know. And then if you want to watch the entire recording, here it is. And if you still have questions after that, you can reach out to the Microsoft team. You can reach out to your dedicated country manager for Microsoft and learn more about it. It's been a game changer in terms of, especially when we back in the day, we'd run a modern workplace boot camp, and Ashley Moretti would come on for 15 minutes and talk about NCE, and all of a sudden the next 4 hours of the boot camp would be about NCE. Doesn't matter if Dom's talking about
It
security
didn't
or
matter.
Jake's talking about SharePoint. It's the questions coming through the chat are going to be about NCE. So it's one of those things where we can pull it out and give those people
I've never seen
the
somebody
resources.
type so fast in the back end
Yeah,
trying to answer those questions. So it's been great.
We would host one of those webinars, and I think we had 1,500 people on at the time. We ended up having like 4,000 questions in 1 hour. It's a little hard to respond to that. But that's a different story. But yeah, those have been amazing, and we're excited about those to keep those moving. And, we get feedback from partners saying it's been great. And, I'm sure it does a wonder for sales as well, that they don't have to sit there and answer all the questions. They just go, our sales reps can be like, you know what? All the Microsoft updates are going to be right here. I'm going to be watching alongside with you too, because it's the easiest way for me to learn all of this. We have half of our team here at Pax8 watch this to get their updates as well, because it's quick, it's always here, and it's going to be every month.
Try to make it easy. All right.
Yeah.
Selfishly, I have asked you to talk about all these different events that surround the world of Microsoft, Henry, but I know we do more than just Microsoft dedicated events, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, cover years we do. There are other things out there in the world, but we do love our Microsoft thing, and it's a huge portion of Pax8. It's a huge portion of why we're here, and it's we love Microsoft. It's a pleasure always working with you and your team, as well as the people from Microsoft that are dedicated to jumping on our events. But there are other things out there, and I'm sure a lot of you guys that attended Beyond saw that. We're morphing into a what's the best solution for your business as a whole, and Microsoft is definitely going to could be a part of it, definitely going to be a part of it, and we want to make sure that we're complimenting you guys in whatever way we can. We can't just sit there and, no offense, shovel Microsoft down their faces all the time, but it works for some people, but some people it doesn't. So yeah, we had Beyond, I'm sure, as a lot of you guys know, some small event that happened in Denver that we had some professional NFL players and famous 90s rappers present at and things like that. So it was
A
pretty
presentation of
cool.
a
But
90s rapper, yes.
yeah, he's 90s, right? He's got to be, or
Yeah,
early
we'll call
2000s.
it. We'll call it.
Yeah. But yeah, so what's really cool is we're rolling out this new thing called Pax8 Momentum. And if you attended Beyond, or if you guys have been looking around our Pax8 websites, it's the next evolution. You know, we have these technical events as boot camps, we have these mission briefings that are sales and marketing focused. Like I was saying earlier to Kristen, you know, if you send your tech to a boot camp, but you don't have that owner there, is that tech going to take all that information in and then bring it back to the owner, business decision maker, sales and marketing expert, and say, this is what we need to do because we're missing here, but we're doing well here? We don't know if those conversations are happening. So what we made momentum about was smacking those two things together and saying, bring your tech, bring your sales and marketing expert. We have day one, two different tracks. We'll have a sales and marketing track. We'll have a technical track hosted by your Mr. Matt Lee, sales and marketing by David Powell, the new guy on Pax8, who's just the rock star, I guess. You know, he's wearing short.
Everywhere.
We were
Everywhere.
calling him
He'll be
earlier.
at
He was going
Inspire.
to go win tug of war. Oh boy. Yeah, he said he was going to head to go win tug of war when I was on a call earlier, and he left it. So he better have won. But
Okay.
it's awesome because we're cohorting. Basically, we're saying we don't know if you're having these conversations back home at the company. Let's bring you together and make sure that almost guide them, coach them to have those conversations together. So day one is really focused about education. Day two, we're bringing in Rex and his team, the academy team, and they're going to be doing two different workshops where you bring you and your work colleague together, get into a group of like-minded individuals, and they coach you on everything that you learned day one and how to operationalize that. And so it's basically saying, you let us know where you're at, we're going to meet you where you're at, and then guide you to where you want to go, instead of just going to a boot camp or a mission briefing where there could be somebody that's just starting out, there could be somebody who's a 500 employee company. They may need different things, but it's hard to cater that, where you've now figured out how to cater that to where you're at. And so we're really excited about momentum. I keep using it every daily. I think people are going to kick me out because I almost like we're gaining a lot of momentum for momentum. It's getting a little tough, but I'm losing a lot of friends on that one. But I'm very excited about it. It's going to be based in, the first one's going to be in Denver, Colorado, right next to the office. And that'll be October 10th to the 12th. It's completely free to come to as well. We do charge a $150 deposit, but as soon as you check in and get your badge, we refund it. So it's one of those things where we just want to make sure that people are here, they're engaged, they're not just showing up to see Matt at happy hour and things like that. So very excited about momentum.
Gotta have beers with Rob Ray. We know what happens around here, guys. So
right.
Speaking of Rob, I want to talk a little bit about community. And I mean, we do a lot of virtual events. There's some in-person options, but I mean, as far as community, what does that mean when we're putting together these events?
I think, and this is I was definitely ignorant when I first came into Pax8 because it was the type of events I did before were so business focused and talking about just such high level conversations that there was no personality, there was no relationship building or anything like that. It was all so transactional in business. And once I joined Pax8 and realized, once we got into in-person events, community is the right word, but it's a clan, like it's a family of people. And of course, coming into the MSP and this channel industry and not knowing who Rob Way was, I was kind of like shunned. Like, you don't know who this guy is? But once I met him, and he came to this Kansas City security boot camp, and that's where I first met him. And watching, him engage with the partners that are on site, he knew everybody, and everybody knew him. Which it doesn't really work like that if you're a famous person, right? Usually it's the one way. He knows everybody, and he's always happy to talk to anybody. And I think it really showed at Beyond, right? It was our inaugural event of this massive user conference show, and we go, well, we hope people show up, like we're going to have a lot of things going on. And we had 1,800 people on site. We had, 75 plus vendors. We had this massive show. Every seat was taken in every single room. I think that just goes to show is we could just sit up there and talk about the weather if we wanted to, and people will still show up, which we won't. We promise we'll keep it educational for you. But community, I think, is one of those things where it's obviously tough to build in virtual, but we want to make sure that we're offering it to people that don't have the ability to travel all the time or go to these events. We still want to make sure that you're able to grow and build your business to a point where you can come to these community events. And then we also try to bring community events to other people, whether it's industry events or whether it's our small community meetups where we just do quick happy hours and lunch and learns around the country as well. So I think that's community is everything at Pax8 here, and I think I quickly learned that, and I've quickly built both a great friendship with the vendors that we work with, the partners that we work with. I mean, I don't know how many people came to Beyond just because they said, is Dom, Kirby, and Jake Humphrey going to be there? And you're like, yeah. And they go, cool, I'll show up. And you're like, oh, well, what about the content? They're like, no, it'll be fine if they're going to be there.
Figure it out.
I just want to hang out with them. And you go like, yeah, it's like you just want to go hang out with your friends, which is awesome. Yep. So I think that's a big thing that I want to make sure that we keep building on and keep finding different ways to make that, happen, whether it's virtual, in person, or wherever we are in the world. So.
I love it. Yeah. Nick Maltby in the chat, #Henry is the best. I couldn't agree more. Henry, thanks so much for joining us today. I think that there's a ton to cover, so we're definitely going to have you back, but super appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, guys. Loved having it.
All right. Guys, we talked a lot about events today. There's a lot happening. I mean, we've got Modern Work Bootcamp coming up here soon. Make sure you register for that. It's not all about Microsoft, though. We've got AWS bootcamps. There's momentum coming beyond 2024. But I want to make sure that next week is Microsoft Inspire. So please make sure you like, share, subscribe, because you don't want to miss Tuesday and Wednesday special edition of Technically Unraveled. We'll see you there. Bye. Thank you.